Okay, the Davis Brothers series continues, and I'll explain that in a minute, but so far I've worked through all of these siblings with the exception of Exum Davis. He is the one that we're going to work on next, and I've partially worked him up. Now, what am I talking about, you ask? If this is your first time here, I have been doing years worth of research on this family to try and identify the father of Henry Gustav Henley. Right now I've got him plugged in as Joel Davis Jr., but it could have been any one of the brothers based on YDNA. So looking at Joel Davis Sr., which is this profile here, I have been doing incredibly exhaustive research, not just reasonably exhaustive research, but every record I can find for every one of these siblings, including the women, to see if I can find anything that helps me identify exactly who the father is of my great-grandfather, Gus Henley. Okay, so Gus was born illegitimate. She had a lot of children out of wedlock. You've probably, if you've been following this series, you have been watching me go through some of this research here on the Genealogy TV2 channel. And so I did several episodes starting with Margaret Davis. I kind of skipped over some of these because they weren't really remarkable. I'll get around to giving you my conclusions in the end, but I need to finish my reasonably exhaustive research on Exum Davis. So, where am I? Here's Exum Davis over on FamilySearch. And so I was just looking at my research notes and opening things up to get back to where I was. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. So always at the top when I quit my research for the day, I try and remember to leave myself a note at the top in red that says where I left off. So I still need to find the 1870, 1900 and death date source. And I have already searched the full text search apparently. So that's just a note to me to don't do that again. And I want to find the land records for him. So I often will leave links to for myself for easy reference. Okay, so just to recap what I've already done for Exum, because you've not seen this so far, I have basically a lot of this stuff is coming from other family members where I can just cut and paste it in here. Here I'm actually talking about Joel Davis being the head of household, but Exum would have been about 13 years old and making notes, right, about this. None of this is that important. He did get married to a woman named Elizabeth Nance, and he's found in the 1850 census with his father, I believe. Here's Exum Davis as the head of household. He is now 30 years old. And let's see. What else can I tell you? Let me back up. There is a bastardy bond. So let me explain this. So Exum Davis was born supposedly 1827. And I believe that came from a Quaker record. Yeah, came from a Quaker record. So he was born in 1827. Well, if we go and we look at Rebecca here, she is born in 1829. So Exum is pretty close in age to Rebecca. Now, all of these families lived close together. They were like either next door neighbors or, very close by, depending on the time period. So from a DNA standpoint, everything points to Joel Davis. So when you think about it let me get back to Joel Davis. When you think about all the siblings, so we have Micaiah. So these are the possible fathers, right? Micaiah, Joel, Joel Davis Jr., Joshua, and Exum. Who am I missing? Jesse. Micaiah, Jesse, Joel, Joshua, and Exum are the 5 brothers that YDNA says, without a doubt, it is one of these Davis men. I just don't know which one because it's the same YDNA for all of them. So then when you go and look at autosomal DNA and you do the research, which I can't really show you very easily. I mean, it's a massive amount of stuff that I have both used the Watto tool. I have used the Watto tool is over at DNA Painter. I've also created a manual version of the Watto tool in an Excel spreadsheet. Everything keeps pointing back to Joel Davis. Why is that? Because if my great-grandfather, Gus, if he is a descendant of any one of these brothers, then all of the other brothers are half relations, because Joel and Penina would have created all of the brothers, right? But he would be a half sibling to all of the other aunts and uncles. Let me see if I can explain this. So if Joel Davis is his father, then all of the descendants of the other men in the family would be half relationships. Therefore, the DNA would be cut in half. Therefore, when you look at all of the DNA descendants from these 5 men, right, the highest centimorgan counts are here. So does that prove it? Well, in my mind, I'm like 90% sure it's Joel Davis Jr. The only problem is he had moved to Iowa by the time Gus was conceived. So, but the rest of the family was here. So, as I've explained in previous episodes on this series, something happened. If Joel Davis is the father, then either, let's go back over here, either Rebecca had gone to Iowa or maybe Indiana, because some of these guys were traveling to Indiana. So he may have gone through Indiana on the way. But if he came back, I have looked everywhere. I have looked for land records. I have looked for funerals, cemetery. Anybody died and may have come back to a funeral. Did he come back for business reasons? I'm hoping there's a document that puts him here, because he was born in 1862. He was in January of 1862. That means in the spring of 1861, he was conceived by one of these Davis brothers. And so I'm trying to find who was in the right place at the right time. Well, Joel had moved away. All the other brothers were there. Now, to make matters even more complicated, there are bastardy bonds that name other brothers in the bastardy bonds for all of the children for Rebecca. She had several children out of wedlock. Some name other fathers and some don't. Let me explain. I have gone and I have collected all the bastardy bonds for the children that Rebecca had. Now, this is the one that would have pertained to my great-grandfather. By the way, there is an index of these bastardy bonds, and I'll explain what a bastardy bond is in a minute. But there is an index to these bastardy bonds, and the 1862 bastardy bond that you see here on the screen was not, it was not in the index. And so I didn't think it existed. Well, I went to the state archives and found it. So this is an image of the bastardy bond for my great-grandfather, who was born in January of 1862, and she was still pregnant at the time that this bastardy bond was created. I know you can't read that. So I had transcribed it, and basically what it does is it names, I know this is really small if you're watching it on a TV, Joshua Davis and Wiley Pickett. Well, Wiley Pickett is a family member, but I'm not exactly sure which one he is and how he fits, because one of the other Davis brothers married a Pickett. So, long story short, they're in the family. So, while these are named as bondsmen, so basically what happened here was she refused to name who the father was. And so, therefore, she has to come up with a couple men to stand up and say, we will care for this child so that the county doesn't have to. Well, Joshua Davis, which is one of the brothers, and Wiley Pickett, who is another family member, are bound for the sum of $500. In other words, if they don't take care of this child, then they could be dragged into court and have to pay $500. Okay, Long story short, there's a bastardy bond for this. There are bastardy bonds that also name some of the other brothers. Exum Davis is named down here in an 1864 document. There is Joshua Davis over here, which is another one of the brothers, right? We've got Jonathan Parker, who is a different person completely, not part of the family. And so there's a lot going on here. And so, as I try and narrow down who it is, a lot of times the father is named in the bastardy bond. Well, if that is the case, then this 1862 document would be naming Joshua Davis, but the DNA doesn't line up to be Joshua Davis, which is right here. It's lining up to be Joel Davis. Could I be wrong? Yeah. There could be other people that are unidentified that have not taken a DNA test that have much higher DNA, but the collection of DNA that I have so far has multiple descendants from each one of these, with the exception of Micaiah, who never had any children. So that leaves Jesse, Joel, Joshua, and Exum. So I'm trying to figure it out. So Exum and Joshua are the closest in age to Rebecca, but really Exum is the closest in age. So let's finish doing the research on Exum before we come to any conclusions. Okay, I'm in the research notes for Exum Davis, and it looks like I had already done this. I just didn't update my top note. So it says 1870 U.S. Census unable to locate. They are likely moving to Arkansas as of September 2025, which is when I was writing this yesterday, I think. So long story short is I looked for him in Randolph County, and I did this very exhaustive research in Randolph County, and I was not able to find him. In Clay County, Arkansas, where he ends up, he's not there either. Do not appear in Clay County or Randolph County, Arkansas either. And then in Indiana, where I suspected maybe some of these people are moving north, as part of the Quaker migrations, he's not there either. So long story short, I can cross off the 1870 from the list of things that I need to look for. Let's go see if I managed to get the 1800. It's been several weeks since I worked on this, so I don't remember exactly what I have done. So we're scrolling down to 1900. There is an Exum Davis living as a boarder, a white male. No birth information is given. He is in the household of Sadie Tinsley. I tried to find a connection to her, but did not. Since there is no age noted, it is hard to confirm this is him. But there is no other Exum in the county. So, he's married at this time. So, I think, let's go see if his wife is alive. There's no other Exum in this county at this time. He would have been 72 at the time, so this is odd. There is also a Thomas L. Davis in the household, but does not appear in my tree. Let's say, put a comma there. Actually, let's do this. I should put a date on this. Let's just say 2025. And roughly the same area in Clay County, Arkansas. This is likely him. Okay. And I want to think that, if I recall, I want to think that I did a lot of research in Clay County and did not find any other Exum Davis in Clay County, Arkansas. Okay, so this is about his death. All right, so let's go. Oh, this is probably the evidence that we needed. Exum Davis, 85, died this morning. But there's no, oh, here we go. Here's a source, 18 and 19 in my sources. Find a grave, not a great Memorial page. I was looking to see if there's an obituary in here. Includes a transcript from the Clay County Courier. Okay, so that's pretty good evidence, even though it's a transcript. I did try, if I recall, to try and find this Clay County Courier for February 1st, 1907, and was unable to locate it online. That doesn't mean it's not there, but somebody had put it up there, and I think I had tried to reach out to them also. What was the other one? Indiana State Archives, right? Was that the other? Oh, it was 18 and 19. What was 18? Find a grave database and find a grave database. Okay. It looks like I have the same source in there twice. Sometimes I will go ahead and do this. I know this looks redundant. Instead of typing a bid, which is what we would do as professionals when we're writing reports, I leave them in full first source citations, because if I insert stuff in between, I want the full source citation to go with it. So if I were to insert a couple sentences and this pushed it down to a different page, then I still have the full source citation in here twice. And that is fine with me. Okay, so as I'm looking for evidence, I'm going to actually put quotes around this because it's spelled differently. Anyway, there's no other Exum in the county. Okay. So one of the things at the top of my list was to, identify what source do I have for his death date. So in looking at the information that I have found so far, sorry to make you dizzy. Let's go all the way down here. We have a find a grave, which normally I wouldn't feel that confident about, but they did source specifically a newspaper article. And I also contacted the manager of Find a Grave, who said that she got it from a book on the FamilySearch library. So I would love to be able to see that book and see what that is. So apparently that is something I think I can only see while in Salt Lake City. And so I would love to be able to look that up, I guess, next time I go, which is going to be, Roots Tech, I guess, the next time I am in Salt Lake City. So hopefully I remember to do that when I'm there. So that is Exum Davis. I did go through all of his sources over here as well. And please stand by while I collapse this. This is the 1900 census we just talked about. This I don't believe is him because I think he has died by then. Let me see. Let me double check. Please stand by. So he dies in Arkansas. I need to turn off. So you can have family events turned on, and I have turned that off so that I don't see all of the other stuff, so I can get to it quickly. Yeah, he dies in 1907. So whatever this is over here, Indiana marriages, might be a son, but it might name the father in there. Let's go see what that is. Samuel Ellison. It's probably naming, yes, spouse's father. Margaret Davis. Okay, so this is one of the children that is naming his father, and this is probably just a typo. So if we look at the actual image, not to run down this rabbit hole, but let's just go look. Here it is. Margaret Davis. Looks like a signature there too, which is kind of fun. Yeah, Exum Davis. Okay, so that's cool. Now where is she? Where did we say this was? Oh, that's the mother. I'm sorry. I was reading this as her residence was deceased. I'm like, what? Huh? Yeah, okay, I get it now. So this is the mother, and the mother is deceased, so she doesn't have a residence. Duh, Connie. All right, I wasn't reading carefully. Part of my eyes were going over here too, so I wasn't really reading that carefully. All right, well, that was fun. Nice little rabbit hole. All right, back to Exum. We can answer this question with this book, for one, but we also have the Clay County newspaper that I would love to find. So I would like to find, and let's find this book. Let's see, book at this FamilySearch library in Salt Lake City. The newspaper article, which I'm looking for in the obituary. This is it here. Apparently this is not online. I went looking and didn't find it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this sentence. Okay, so I need to do some location research in Salt Lake City, and for the newspaper noted below. When I say noted below, it's just a note to me to go look for the red font because it'll get me there quickly. And again, I have already done the full text search. I like that. Thank you for that reminder, Connie. Left off with the 1900 census. Let's double check. Did I already talk about that? I can't remember. This is why I keep things in chronological order, because you can zip to it quickly. I can even zoom back and not make you quite so dizzy. We got 1900 census. That's right. I did do this. I'm not feeling like this is him because he would have moved. Oh, this is Clay County. All right, let's double check. If this is him, then his wife would have been dead by now. Why he's not living with his family, I don't know. Kilgore, Clay County. This is the right county. There's also Thomas Davis in the household, but he does not appear to be in the tree. Let's go look at this real quick and see what this 1900 census is. I don't even know that I have it in here because I may not have attached it. Oh, I do. Let's go look at this real quick. And I need to remind myself who his children are, because this Thomas might be one of his kids. See, Thomas is a boarder as well. Let's zoom in even farther. I turned off my scroll wheel because my new computer is like super fast, and I haven't been able to get it to slow down. So Thomas is a boarder, and I can't see what that date is. I'm trying to see what the age of this person is. So if Exum Davis and see, there's no information about how old he is here. But this Thomas Davis, I can't tell if that's 33 or 83. Let's see. Let's do the math. So if this is because I can't remember squat. So in 1900, right, minus this birth year, 1867, right? You probably can do this in your head. That's 33, not an 83. So that might be his son or grandson. Okay, that's a thought. Let's go look at Exum's children. Is there a Thomas? I don't see one, but that doesn't mean that out of all of these children, there might be a Thomas in there. And I don't know that I've done all that descendancy research. Please stand by. I will pause the recording and go look real quick. Okay, I just went through every one of these children to see if I had a Thomas W. Davis as a child of any of Exum's children, meaning a possible grandson, and I did not see. I haven't done the research. I have not done all of the descendancy research on all of these children. That's a lot of kids. So I have not done that research. So one other possible way to figure this out kind of quickly is to go back to that 1900 census. Let's go up. You know what? There's another possibility too. Let's go over to FamilySearch and see what FamilySearch says. This might be a quick way to cheat the system a little bit and just get a clue. So if we go to Exum Davis and we go to his profile, these children might be listed. All right, so I'm going to go through these just like I did on my Ancestry profile and see if there are any children listed for these. That is a Thomas W. Davis as a child of any of these people. Please stand by. As I was doing this, I was opening all of these children from the FamilySearch profile in a new tab, and I noticed There are 10 children here, but I have like 14 children listed here. So I'm not sure which is correct, but you know, slowly but surely I'll figure it out. All right, so let's go look at Libby. Does she have a child named Thomas? I don't see any children here, so I'm going to close her out. I'm just looking for clues. I'm not looking for absolute. I would go verify this. So Sarah Jane, does she have any children listed? Is there a Thomas in the list? I don't see one, so we'll close her out. I got Ben Davis here. No children listed for that one. Doesn't mean that these people didn't have children. It just means somebody hasn't worked this family. So Rebecca, no. Elizabeth Davis, no. Wiley Davis. Remember, we have Wiley Davis noted in one of the Bastardy bonds. No. Samira. No Thomas there. Caroline Davis. No. Sometimes you get lucky and you get a clue over here. I'm not seeing it there. And who is this? This is back to Exum Davis. And that's it. All right. So I'm still not 100% sure that this 1900 census is him, but there was no other Exum in the county of Clay County, Arkansas for that time. So now what am I going to do? Well, one of the things that I had noted in my research notes was that I wanted to check for land records to see if that gives us any clue as to when he may have sold land or not. So if we go back and look at the 1880 census, for example, does he own land? Let's go see. I can't remember if the 1880 census has land values or not. It does not. Does not help us. Okay, so bug out of that. But let's go look over in Randolph County, North Carolina for land records. I happen to have the randrod.com for Randolph County records. So we're going to go to real estate records, if I can remember how to get there. Real estate. And then we go to, I got to remember how to get there. Real estate. It's going to take me back here. Where is it? Real estate records. View online. We're going to proceed to that site. We acknowledge the disclaimer. Can you tell I've been here before? I am human. So here we go to the old index books, and this is the old Cott system. So it might be that you might not be familiar with this, but basically how this works is you start over here. So I don't want a plat because there's not a plat for every real estate record, but I want the old, I started with the old index books. Real estate, I don't care if it's grantor or grantee. Let's just go grantor just for grins and giggles. And that's the seller, by the way. And so 1776 to 1947 are the oldest books that they have. So I'm going to search that. And now we're going to get into images of the actual, this is the index in the front of the real estate books, the deed books. And how this works is you have to look for the alphabet. So we're looking for Davis, right? So we can search the name Davis up here if we want. And it will get us closer in the index book. So we're not there yet. As you can tell, there's Daniel. We need to get to DAV, right? We're not there. So we go to the right-hand page, next page. And there's Davis. Page 1. So now we go to the next block and we say page 1, go. Now these are roughly in chronological order, but they're not perfect. You'll see that the dates will bounce around, but this is roughly the idea. So here we have Davis. Here we have given names that start with an A through H, I through O, P through Z. So there are two things we need to do. We're going to be looking in this column for Exum because it's EXUM for the most part. We might even have to look in the X column for if it's spelled differently, but more than likely we're going to find it in this column. But we need to skip ahead to at least 1880 because he was last known to be in Randolph County in 1880, and we're searching Randolph County. So if he owned land and if he sold it, it would be somewhere between 1880 and 1900, because in 1900 he ends up in Arkansas. So I'm going to pause the video and go find that, and I'll be right back. So one of the things you have to do is you have to skip ahead page by page because they're in rough chronological order, but they're not exactly. See, 1814, 1850, and then 1808. So, I mean, they're kind of in, they're close, but they're not exact. So again, I'm going to pause the video and go find them. Or at least go find the time frame. So here we are in the 1850s. We're getting closer. So let's keep going. Late 1850s. All right, here we go. 1860s. So now I'm kind of looking in this column for Exum to see if he might be in here. And remember, this is that whole section, A through H. So if he's in here, he's in here. There's one of my ancestors right there. I see this all the time when I'm thumbing through these record books. I see family members. We're into the 1870s. I don't even see anybody with just the initial E. Sometimes you'll see that. You need to go look to see who else is named in the document to see if it might be your person. So far we're striking out. All right, there's an EC, 1891. All right, we're going to go look at that one in a minute. So I'm going to make a note of that. I'm going to write it down on a sheet of paper so I can remember that, because I need to go finish this search in the index first. So I'm grabbing a sheet of paper and I'm writing down. So this is over here, Will Book 72, page 514, 1 acre. 72, 514, 1 acre. Okay, and that is EC. All right, I got that one. We'll look at that one in a minute. We're going to keep going all the way to 1900. Let's see if there's any other land. I get the impression that he did not have a lot of money. There's an EW and a JS Davis. Interesting. 60 acres. All right, so EW, and I'm going to say to JS Davis, and that is 8753. 8753, and that is 60 acres. Okay, made a note of that one. Moving on. I'm looking to see if there are any other possible Davis. 1900 DSEJ to Reuben L. Davis. All right, so that means there's two people here. I'm going to write this one down, DS-EJ, and to Reuben Davis. Bear with me while I write this down. That's 99,288. You know, if you want to follow along, you could do this by going and searching for the real estate records at the Register of Deeds in Randolph County, North Carolina, just so you can learn this system, because this is the Cott system, and it's common, especially in North Carolina. Most of the counties in North Carolina are using something similar to this, and so you may run into this again. All right, so we found that one. Let's go see. We're going to keep going through the index, and we're going to go back, and we're going to look at all this. Okay, 1899. Davis et al. Means a grouping of people. And so I'm going to write this one down, EE. And this is an et al., which I'm going to write that down too, just for grins and giggles. And see, there's others here. There's JCJE to AA White, to IA White, excuse me, White. And that is 99,458. 99,458. And how many acres was that? 16 acres. Okay, I'm literally scratching this down on a piece of paper. I didn't see any other. So he's not really named by name, but this 1899, I should have written the dates down on this too. 1899. But very possible, very possible. Let's go one more page to make sure there aren't any, because I think this is 1903. Let's write that one down too. I think he's gone by now, but we can see. This is another EW, so, and it's to J.S. Davis. And that was 108 353. And it says, yeah, oh, by the way, if you see something like this that says canceled, what that means is the mortgage has been satisfied. All right, for now, I'm going to stop searching for any more. Oh, my goodness. There are more here. I'm going to stop and search what I've got so far. So the very first one we found was Will Book 72, page 514. So let's go see what that is. And we want to go, yeah, we're going to say record, book of record, because that usually gives us what we're looking for. Whoa, now my zoom control's working. Holy cow. Let's just use this button here. Okay. Let me read through this for a second. All right, for this first document, I'm not feeling the love for this document because I've always known Exum to go by Exum, not EC. And I don't know who Walton Davis is. I've never heard of this in all of the research that I've done. And in looking through the land description, I don't see anything familiar. And when I go to the next page, I don't see any signatures specific to Exum. Well, I can't stand this mouse scroll going crazy. I keep trying to fix it, and it will stay for one moment, and then thanks to Windows 11. Anyway, this is clearly a copy because handwriting is all the same. So there's no actual signatures here. So I feel like I'm striking out on this one. So what I want to do is I want to go back, and instead of going back all the way back to the index books, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in the next document, which was EW to J.S. Davis, which was 8753, I think it was. No. Yeah, page 53. And hit go and see what we get there. And now let's scroll in a little bit. E.W. Davis in the county of Randolph. Let me read through this one. So as I'm looking through that document, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, there's E.W. Davis. I've never known Exum to have a middle name in any document. And J.S. Davis, which could be one of his brothers. He had 3 brothers with the first initial J. But if we go and look at Exum Davis's siblings, excuse me, they're over here. I opened up the siblings over here. He's got a Jesse Davis. I don't have a middle name for him. We have Joel Davis Jr. and we have Joshua N. He's always gone by Joshua N. Davis. So let's eliminate that one. So he could have Joel Davis Jr. or Jesse Davis in this record. So we don't want to eliminate that idea, but that's a possibility. So I'm going to finish reading through this. Okay, I just read through this whole thing and it doesn't help me a bit because the description of the land has absolutely zero recognizable locations. It's going beginning from a post oak down to a stone and then another stone and down to another stone. And, I mean, it's just absolutely nothing. I was hoping there might be, sometimes it'll say bordering, Henley's line or something and give you some kind of indication that there is a something recognizable. But I mean, 60 acres, basically every corner marker in this description is a stone or a post oak. And so that in a poplar tree, I mean, it doesn't really help us at all. So this looks like maybe it's a gum tree. Oh, maybe. Anyway, so this doesn't help us at all. Let's try the next one. The J.S. Davis, too, could be a cousin. You never know. There's not really enough information here. So the next one's not a whole lot better. It's D.S.E.J., which could have been Exum. No, E.J. would have been, I don't know. Let's go look. It's going to be 99,288. So we go book 99, page 288, and hit go. And we'll take a look at this one. So again, I need to zoom in so we can actually see it. Okay, this one gives us a little more information. We have David S. Davis, which would be the DS. No, David S. Yeah, it would be the DS part of Davis, and Lizzie Davis, his wife. Okay. Again, not feeling the love for Exum Davis here at all. Let me pause and I'll read through it. So while I don't believe this is him, it does give us some clues as to how to read these things. So it says, beginning at a stake in Muddy Creek, running thence north. So many chains. I can't. 3 chains maybe. And 75 links to a stone, thence east. 4 chains and 8 links to a stone in D.S. Davis line. So we now know that D.S. Davis is this person up here, and thence south 2 3/4 east, thence south 10 degrees east, 13, I'm going to say that's chains, and 50 links to a stone. See, this is how 32 degrees west. So this is how difficult meets and bounds types of land descriptions can be. Long story short, this is not my guy. So let's go on to the next one, which is 99,458. So we just need to go 458 here. Whoops, went too far. Hit go. And now we get to read through this one. So far, I'm beginning to think he didn't own land. August 1899. J.E. Davis and J.C. Davis and E.E. Davis. All right, so that makes me think they're all related. This looks like E.E. Pugh and wife Lena Pugh, which probably means she's related to these Davises. North Carolina. Let me read through it. Okay, I flipped over to the next page, and this is not lining up for me. So I don't think this is him either. And the last one that we saw was book 108, 353. We'll go take a look at that. That was after 1903. So let's go do that real quick. And 353. And let me take a quick read of this. Okay, huge finding right here in this deed. So I'm just going to read through this whole thing just so you get a sense. All right. So this is made the 17th day of January, 1903 by E.W. Davis and County of Randolph in the state of North Carolina in the first part, and J.S. Davis of the county of the state aforesaid of the second part, witnesseth that the said E.W. Davis, I think that says party, of the first part, for and in consideration of the sum of $100 in hand paid the receipt whereof, and hereby acknowledged, have bargained and sold and conveyed by the presents do bargain, sell, and convey unto the said J.S. Davis, and certain tract of parcel of land lying and being on the county, in the county and state aforesaid, adjoining the lands of J.S. Davis and J.M. Cox, heirs and others, and bounded as follows, to wit, beginning at a stone or black oak. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like Osborne's corner. Thence east 60 chains to a post oak. Thence south 26 chains and 50 links to a black oak thence. West 60 chains to a black oak, thence north bounded by Clark Elder's land to the beginning corner. Now this is the part that's interesting. Excepting 60 acres, 64 and 5/8 acres sold to J.S. and Jesse Davis, containing in all 161 acres, more or less. This land, however, is subject to the life estate of said E.W. Davis, and also that of his daughter Rebecca Davis, to have and to hold, hereby granted permission, together with all of the singular and privileges there to begin belonging to him, the said J.S. Davis, and the said E.W. Davis does covenant and with and said J.S. Davis as follows. First, that he is seized of the said premises, which means he owns, in fee and have a right to convey, which means he has the right to sell it. The same in the fee simple. Second, that the same are free from all encumbrances whatever, I guess is what that says, and that he will warrant and defend the title to the same against the lawful claims of all persons unto the said J.S. Davis, in testimony whereof the said parties of the first part hereunto set their hands and seals on the day and the year written above. E.W. Davis. All right, so now I'm beginning to think this E.W. Davis is him. Because, why? Because it says up here, the said E.W. Davis, and also that his daughter Rebecca Davis. So, subject to his life estate, remember? 160 acres, more or less. This land, however, is subject to the life estate of the said E.W. Davis. I'm wondering if that's his wife. And also that of his daughter, Rebecca Davis. So if we go look at, could that be E.M. Davis? Because of Matilda? She died in 1885, though. And this is 1903, I think it was. Yes. So the life estate of E.W. Davis. But see, Exum Davis did have a daughter named Rebecca. Am I in the right place? This is his siblings. This is his children down here. There's Rebecca Davis. Here's another E. Davis. I wonder if that's E.W. Davis. So there's more work to be done here. But that now makes me think that this is the right family all along. Yeah, all those E.W. Davises that we were looking at before might be the same Exum Davis. I don't exactly know where to go from here. I got to figure out how to tease this out. Probably need to do the research on the children, those two girls, for sure, to see if one of them might be E.W. Davis. Let's read through that again. Let's see, containing 100 acres. Okay. The land, however, is subject to the life estate of E.W. Davis and also that of his daughter. So E.W. Davis is not his daughter. And also that of his daughter, Rebecca Davis. So Rebecca's the daughter, E.W. is not, which makes me think, part of the problem with this family is, first of all, Davis is like the name Smith, and so is Rebecca. There are so many Rebeccas in this family, it isn't funny. So then we need to kind of go, all right, who's Rebecca Davis, and is she a minor? The wheels are turning in my head. Okay, I had to go walk around the house and think about this for a second. So here's what I think. Because this is talking about the life estate, this land, however, is subject to the life estate of said E.W. Davis. I'm beginning to think that E.W. Davis is a female, and that Rebecca Davis is the daughter of whoever owns this land. Possibly E.W. Davis's daughter as well. Well, Exum Davis had died by now. No, excuse me. Exum's wife had died by 1903. She died in 1885. And so I'm beginning to think that two things. That this may or may not be our people. And that this E.W. Davis up here, the E.W. Davis that we keep finding in all of these records, might be female. If E.W. Davis is female, she would, and unmarried, so maybe she is an unmarried female, then she would have the right to own land at this time. Because the laws at the time were, if she was married, then I'm wondering if he has a sister named E.W. Davis. Let's go look up here. There's an Elizabeth Davis. But she dies in 1900. So she's gone by then. Edith Davis? Nope, she's gone by then. So it could be a different family. But what we need to remember so that we don't go down too many rabbit holes is, what is our research question? Well, the research at hand wasn't necessarily a question, but to find everything we could about Exum Davis, and land records was part of that research plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make notes of this Davis land records at the bottom of this document, but I really think it's a 50-50 shot right now that that this E.W. Davis is the same as our Exum Davis. I keep going back and forth in my head because I don't think Exum ever had a middle initial, and I'd never seen him go by initials before in any document. It's always been Exum Davis. And so, it gives me pause, because a lot of times back in this time period, if people were going by initials, as my great-grandfather did, I'll go look at the tree, he went by H.G. Henley all the time, in every record. He never went by Henry Gustav Henley. And the only reason I know he was Henry Gustav Henley is because my family told me the people who knew him. But all of his records say H.G. Henley. So it was common for them to use their initials, but they were consistent. At least that's my experience. And so I'm thinking that Exum Davis's records would be by Exum. This is just gut instinct. I guess I can close that. I don't need that anymore. Because I don't have any proof, and I don't need really to go down this rabbit hole of figuring out who E.W. Davis is J.S. Davis, all of these other people, while they're probably related, I bet you they're cousins of this family and not necessarily the immediate family. And so in order to keep moving on with the real research question, which is who is Henry Gustav's father, I'm going to make note of this in my research notes and move on. Boy, did I mess that up. Did you catch my mistake? My mistake was that I was searching between 1880 and 1900, and my notes in my records say that he moved between 1860 and 1880. I was searching the wrong time period when I was up here doing this. So we're going to go back and we're going to search this again. See, we're in Davis, 1905. What I need to do is go back to really page 1 and go search between 1860 and 1880 for Exum Davis. Oops. How I caught that was I was looking through my own notes and I went that he migrated between 1860 and 1880. And daughter Elizabeth Rowland may be widowed or divorced, no husband present. That I'm still going to keep the information that I collected because it may be, who knows. What I did was I wrote it down here. Like, please stand by. I wrote in here in the chronology of my notes, 1800 to 1903. The goal was to see if Exum owned or sold land between 1800 and 1900, which is wrong. It should have been 1860. I'll leave the 1900, but it was really 1880, right? 1880, he migrated to Arkansas. In Randolph County, the Register of Deeds, there are several deeds listed below. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this apart and say between 1880 and 1900 in Randolph County, there are registers of deeds. Okay, so I laid out all of these just because I don't want to lose them in case these are. Reuben Davis is in the family. I think he is a cousin. So all of this could very well be part of the family for sure, but I don't want to lose this information, so I'm just making note of it. I'll put a date on here as well. September 2025 currently needs to have some sort of thing. So I'm going to get rid of this conclusion because it was wrong, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to look again. See, it helps to talk this stuff out loud. So I'm going to look between 1860 and 1880 right now. And see, you're getting almost real-time research, mistakes and all. Okay, so here's Exum Davis down here. He's selling to his brother Micaiah Davis a deed for 100 acres. This is deed 3398. So I'm going to start a new list so that I have a clean sheet of paper. I have these little sticky notes that I use all the time. And so this is definitely him because of the family relationship. And that is for 100 acres. All right. And that is 1856. So that is some time before I thought he moved, because he's still in the census in 1860 in Randolph County. But he may be preparing to leave. I don't know. All right, so moving on, we're going to keep looking for Exum Davis. This means executor, by the way. Don't see an Exum there. And we could always be looking also in the, see, we're in the grantor index. We could look in the grantee, which would be the seller, or I mean the buyers. But because I'm trying to find him leaving, it could be that, we're working backwards, right? I know, I stopped talking and start reading. It could be that he just didn't own a lot of land, but it looks like he did own at least 100 acres here. So, all right. So now we're starting to cross over into the time period I had already searched, but I'm just going to give it one last look. Okay. So we're crossing over into a time period that we've already seen. So, and here's that one with Rebecca Jesse. This is not my Exum though. There's lots of family here. I just don't get sidetracked. So now we have one set of records. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that book 1. Actually, I could probably just do it from here. Book 30, 398, and hit go. See, now his brother, Micaiah, was buying land all over the place. So I probably already have, I probably already have this information in here. Probably this 410 right here. Jefferson, no, that's not it. So maybe this is, maybe I grabbed the wrong number, question mark. This guy was the county clerk forever and ever and ever. Well, here's another lesson learned. So I even went back and looked at the recording and I went, yes, I have the numbers right. Book 30, 398. This is a reason why you always go forward and backwards on pages, even though this is not my index, my guy. When we go forward, there is a 398A. Wait for it. This is it. This is still, oh, here it is. Yeah. So this is 398A over here. So go figure. There was multiple deeds under the same number. So this is November in the year 1856 between Exum Davis in the county of Randolph, North Carolina, and Micaiah Davis. This is his brother. All right, so I'm going to read through this. I'll be right back. Okay, as I was reading through this looks really familiar, and so I went, you know, it's probably in Micaiah's file already because I had already, you know, done his research notes. So I went in, and sure enough, this is Micaiah's research notes, and sure enough, here it is, all of the notes about it. Micaiah was buying land like crazy, so including the source citation. So I'm just going to grab all of this and copy it and add it to my research notes for Exum Davis in the right place, which would be 1856. 1856 is going to be after this one. So right here, paste that in there. And actually, I'm going to reverse this information and fix this so it says cells. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I took a break there for a second and went ahead and added this information in here straight out of Micaiah's notes and then modified the source citation so that it fit properly. So long story short, we did find land records for Exum Davis selling land to his brother. And so that kind of answers that question. Was he selling land? While it was a few years prior to when I think he probably left, because he is in the if I recall, he's in the 1860 census. Where'd it go? In Randolph County. And so he's probably still living on the estate, on the land he sold to his brother, but he was probably planning on moving. So he is definitely there. And we can go look at that 1860 census just for grins and giggles to make sure that we're looking at it properly. Let's go look real quick. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. I'm so afraid to use my scroll button because I keep changing the settings on my scroll button. Okay, looking at the 1860 census, this jives. Look, real estate column, nothing. Personal estate, 25. So that's kind of interesting that he has no real estate at this point. That totally lines up with the fact that he just sold all of his land to his brother Micaiah, who happens to be down here and does have real estate value. So this is the landowner. He's just parking here until he moves to Arkansas. So one of the last things that I need to do in order to finish up his notes is to add the bastardy bond that names Exum Davis and his brother Joshua Davis into the notes and add the transcription in there. This is from 1864. We actually see Exum Davis, his mark, which means he cannot read or write, and Joshua W. Davis in here. So long story short, he is a bondsman, but she, I believe, did not name the father. So let me double check that real quick. I'll be right back. So here's where it says, know that all men by these presents, that Rebecca Henley and Exum Davis and Joshua Davis are held firmly in bond unto the state for the sum of $1,000 to the, I can't read what that says. Basically, long story short, is they are taking care of the unborn child that was born in 1864. This is not my great-grandfather, but his sibling. I guess that would be a half-sibling, probably. Anyhow, this is the one bastardy bond that names Exum Davis as, and Joshua Davis, these are brothers, as bondsmen in a bastardy bond. Likely one of them is the father. So as I was looking through the bastardy bonds for Rebecca Henley, it occurred to me that I had not transcribed this one that names Exum Davis as a bondsman, and so I want to add that information to his file as well. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have AI help me transcribe this because I want to get it done. And so here I have an example of where I had transcribed the 1862. The one for Exum Davis is 1864, I believe. So 1864, yeah. So this one is from 1862. This is what the original looks like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this information to ChatGPT 5.0 and have it use this as an example and then tell it that I want to create this. So hang on one second. All right, so here's what I wrote. Today we are transcribing an old document. First, I'm going to give you an example of another one so that you can mimic the format. Here is an image and transcription from the example. I will then send you the image for the one I want you to create. So here are the bastardy bonds that I just showed you from 1862 with my transcription. It says, perfect, thanks for sharing. Okay, so then it went ahead and transcribed that again, which I don't know why it did, but it did. Then I said, it says this is mirroring the format, and would you like me to put this in a document? And I'm basically ignoring that, and I'm saying, I want you to mimic the format in a Word document. You do not need to do this again for the example since I have already done that. However, I do want you to do the best you can to use the format I created in the example, including styles and font. And then it did come down as a Word document. So when I open that, which I have already done, it came in, and actually the transcription is quite good. It didn't put my header up there, and it didn't put the images on the end of the document like I wanted. I need to go back and create a source citation for this anyway, so I need to do that. But at least at a quick glance, I can now go through here and I can format this. I can put the quotes in here that it didn't do, should have here. And I would want to indent this as proper protocol. And, you know, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this over into my cover sheet that I always use for my documents anyway. That's got a header and footer already in it. And then I will clean this up and save it. Okay, so what I've done is I've opened up, in case you've not done this before, and I'm going to quickly show you how I do these transcriptions. I have a boilerplate document, and I've already renamed it for this bastardy bond, but you can create this in Google Sheets or Google Docs, or in Word. This happens to be Word, and just create this format, right? It's got the header and footer already in there. If you want to change the header, then I can change this to, say bastardy bond. You can even say naming Exum Davis, Exum and Joshua Davis, and close the header. And now that's done. And so I can go through and fill all this out, and then I can take that information, that transcription that was created from, here, I'll do this real quick, that was created from the AI, and paste it in here and just double check that it makes sure it's accurate. And so I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. Okay, what I did was I went in and I filled in all of this information. Still cleaning up some of it, but basically I filled in all this information about it, what it was, and I went over to ChatGPT and created that transcription, which I've cleaned up. There, it just saves you a lot of typing. While it was close, it wasn't perfect, so I went in and I fixed it. And one of the things that you need to do when you're transcribing is to make sure that you are doing the line breaks exactly as it is, as well as all of the misspellings, any typos. A lot of times it would try and capitalize the first part of a sentence that wasn't supposed to be capitalized. Like for here, it said May 1864, and then it tried to capitalize the word the, and so I had to fix all that. Long story short, here's what it reads. So, State of North Carolina, Randolph County, know all men by these presents that Rebecca Henley and Exum Davis and Joshua Davis are held firmly bond unto the state for the sum of $1,000 to the payment. We bind ourselves. Sick means I understand that this is not spelled correctly. Our heirs, executors, administrators, jointly and firmly by these presents, signed by our hands and seal with our seal this day. And believe it or not, yes, that was in there twice. This actually should not have a space there. The condition of this obligation is such of the above. There should not be a period there, by the way. Unbounded Rebecca Henley. Believe it or not, there was a D in there that I went ahead and put back in that wasn't showing in the transcript originally. And Exum Davis and Joshua Davis shall and truly perform the duties of the court of the pleas and quarter sessions of this said county, charging them in the maintenance of a certain bastard child begotten on the body of Rebecca Henley, spelled again differently, and shall indemnify the county free from any and all charges. I believe there's probably a page break there that I missed. Let's go check that image real quick. Please stand by while I pull that image up. It's up here on another screen. Let me double check which line that is. And shall indemnify. And shall indemnify said county free from. Okay, free from. Free from any and all charges for the maintenance of said child in the above obligation to avoid. To be void, otherwise remain in full force and effect. This is not a space. And I don't believe there was a period there. Whoops, that's probably why it's messed up. Okay, the condition of this obligation is such that if the above bounden Rebecca Henley shall well and truly keep a certain bastard child, of which she, this is wrong, it tried to put is pregnant, and that was not in the image. Let me grab that image again real quick. Child begotten on the body of Rebecca Henley and shall indemnify. Let's see, the child above obligation. Otherwise, the condition is the obligation is such that if the above, whoops, I missed it, which I think it started to write is now. Okay, so that's right. That's exactly what it says, which I think that is she is now, and then he didn't write pregnant, refused to declare the father. So that is correct, which she is now. Where am I? Okay, so there it is, which she is now, and then refuses, and it did look like a capital R, refuses to declare the father becoming chargeable to the said county, then this obligation is to be void otherwise, and yes, there is a space there, so I put sick in there, to remain in full force and effect. Attest means that this is tested as, it's a legal term, meaning that the justice of the peace is vowing that this is correct. So I went ahead and put in, let's see if I can get rid of that space. I don't know if there, I went ahead and put in his mark here because it didn't come in the transcript from ChatGPT. But that is pretty much it on the transcript. So now I have that transcript in there. And as you can see, it's there. Now what I need to do is add the images in there. And I also need to abstract this. So if you want to stick around, I will show you how to abstract that. So one of the first things I do when I'm doing an abstract is I just copy the whole thing, right? Control C, and then you believe it or not, this is the easier way to do this. So it's in there twice, but what happens is, I'm going to zoom in now to the abstract part of it. Boy, did I go in too far. I'm sorry about the zoom. Okay, so we take out all the boilerplate language. First of all, we don't need this to be indented anymore. And we're going to take out all of the, in fact, we can get rid of all the indents here as well. That's not going to do it. Okay. So we can take out all of the spaces, all of the weird grammar. But what we do is we leave in all of the details. So all of this gets struck out. Normally I would line that out like this just to show you. So Rebecca Henley, Exum Davis, Joshua Davis, I would say are bound. I would strike this out. What we're going to do is end up removing out the strikeout. So bound unto the state of C are bound in the sum of, so it has to make complete sentences when you're doing an abstract, in the sum of $1,000. All of this is boilerplate. This is all gets struck out. So it would say in the sum of $1,000 this 9th day of May, 1864. Some of this is personal choice as to whether you leave in things like the condition of this obligation is such that the bound and Rebecca Henley and all of these people are to, create this condition. So you could leave this in. Let's see. The condition of this obligation is such. We'll strike out this part. Rebecca Henley, Exum Davis, and Joshua shall be truly and perform the duties of the court, please the quarter sessions, charging them and the maintenance. Okay, so what we'll do is cross this part out. I mean, I'm actually leaving more in than you really should. With the maintenance of a certain bastard child, scratch that out. We can get rid of this. This is the abstract part now, so we'll leave the transcript in as it is. And shall indemnify the county free of charge and maintenance of the child above. I'm going to scratch all of that out so that it says Rebecca Henley now refuses to declare the father. And all of the rest of this gets scratched out. And we can get rid of this. I'm just going to delete it. And we can get rid of this and seal. And then we get rid of this. X is not his middle initial, but it was his mark. We get rid of all of this stuff. I'll clean it up. Bear with me. We don't need quote marks anymore. We don't need this. Actually, we don't need any of this. I don't even need the justice of the peace in here, really. Oh, you know what I forgot to do on the transcript is put signatures in here. I'll do it after the quote marks, but you should do it before the quote marks. This is the transcript part of it, going back up to the abstract part of it. So now I've kind of got that abstracted. Now watch what happens. This is part of the abstract, but as soon as I start deleting these crossed out pieces, we start to create these sentences that it becomes our abstract. I'm going to backspace one more time so that we don't need the carriage returns anymore. Okay. Pay to, we bind ourselves, sick, all of this goes away, all of this goes away. Sometimes it's easier when you do this. Why Why is that giving me? I don't want a hyphen there. It's giving me a hyphen I don't need. And we'll backspace out of this. And all of this. So you're getting the idea. And I may have to clean some more of this up. All of this is boilerplate. Rebecca Henley now refuses to declare. We can fix this because we don't have to worry about the punctuation and all that anymore. Get rid of all those spaces. And we can even put in here signed if we want. And we can do this. Let's see. Davis charging them with maintenance of a certain bastard child of Rebecca Henley now refuses to declare. Somehow I missed the father. Somehow I must have deleted it. Declare the father. Let's just copy this part. Control C. Refuses to declare the father. Period. All right, so one more thing. I'm going to fix some of these carriage returns that are still in there so that it reads better. Do I fix the name? I could do something like this, because it's also misspelled up here. All right, so we have the state of North Carolina, Rebecca, which her actual name is spelled with 2 C's. Rebecca Henley and Exum Davis and Joshua Davis are bound in the sum of $1,000 this, the 9th day of, I don't even have to put the, but this 9th day of May, 1864, and the condition of the obligation is Rebecca Henley and Exum Davis and Joshua Davis are said, Davis, this should be of said county. Actually, don't need that. Let's back that out. Joshua Davis charging them with the maintenance of a certain bastard child of Rebecca Henley now, and Rebecca, she now, because that's what it said in the document, refuses to declare the father, and I have the in there twice. And then I can actually even just go ahead and leave their signatures up there. So there's the abstract. So now it's nice and short and neat, and this is what we go and we put into our research notes. So we go back over to Exum Davis's research notes. You can see I had a note here for this Bastardy bond. It was in 1864, so let's go up to 1864. No, yes, 1864. How could that be? Wait a minute. Please stand by. Sorry, I was getting confused with the other Davis brother. Okay, so in 1864, Bastardy bond. Okay, so I actually had written a note here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert before the source citation the abstract, and I'm going to create an indent. And I'm going to back that up to there. So now that the source citation is still there. Okay. So that concludes all of my details for this particular guy, right? I've got some notes in here that I need to do on location, either at the State Archives or in Salt Lake City, that I can't do right now. I'm going to go ahead and leave this note up here because it's important to me to remember that I don't need to worry about full text search, at least at this moment, until more documents come online. I'm sure that they'll start hinting more. And so with that, I'm going to call it a day on this. Thank you for watching. And the next episode will be the conclusion of this whole huge family history that I have been working on forever, with this mystery and which of the fathers or which of the men it is that I believe is the father of Henry Gustav Henley. All right, we'll see you in the next episode.